Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, she's a speaker, she's a mentor, and she's on a mission from God to help us all discover our God-given gifts. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think we all tell ourselves lies. Isn't that the truth, right? We look in the mirror and we see, an imperfection, and we tell ourselves a story about ourselves, or somebody says something unkind and we choose to believe it. And so my next guest is on a mission to help us all discover our God-given identity. Carla Hanes is in the studio. She's a speaker, a mentor, and my friend. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, I want people to know your heart. So you have an amazing bio. Like when you sent me your life's journey so far, missionary, served in Washington, high-profile jobs in Washington, entertainment. You have an interior design company. You're a proud mom and loving wife. I mean, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's been an exciting adventure for sure.
So, all of those experiences, maybe we start with the missionary experience as a child, because you were born in Hawaii?
Yes. Well, I was born in California, but we moved to Hawaii when I was 5.
Okay.
And my parents work with Youth with a Mission, and I really grew up. That was my community. And the great thing about Youth with a Mission is they're committed to seeing the gospel spread into as many countries as possible. And
so a child, you had a passport and you were going all over the planet?
I did. We lived all over. We lived in Hong Kong for a year, lived in Tahiti, and our home base was always out of Hawaii. That's where the Pacific and Asia headquarters for Youth with a Mission were.
Wow.
So got to really see a lot of the world at a young age and be exposed to so many things, the need, but also the education and the hope that I think that travel brings.
Sure.
So grew up really in Youth with a Mission, and then my parents left when I was in college, left Youth with a Mission and started their own organization called Surfing the Nations. And they've been doing that for 27 years now.
Well, you obviously have the heart of a servant, which is special, and I think that shapes you in everything you do. Tell us about Washington, because Washington can be a toxic place if you allow yourself to get into the politics and the divisiveness.
Yeah. So I can remember being in 6th grade and thinking to myself, I was sitting in history class and knowing that I wanted to go into politics. And I think that part of that was an exposure to the international side of things, and also just a God-given desire. I really believe that a lot of the desires that we carry came from someone far greater than us. So I went to Indiana Wesleyan and studied political science, and studied abroad for a while, and then went to Washington, D.C. after graduating, and originally was doing an internship at the Family Research Council, and went from there to working for the majority leader of the House, who at the time was Dick Armey from Texas.
Wow.
And that was just an incredible, I think when you see the doors open that you've envisioned for so many years,
yes,
that's just the reward of a lot of dreams and really the doors that God opened. So.
And then you went from that to entertainment. Was it in L.A. or where was it?
After that, I worked for Elizabeth Dole at the Red Cross.
Oh, nice.
And she was the president of the Red Cross, and she was doing a celebrity blood drive to raise awareness. So I got to work on that with different celebrities, and worked on a couple campaigns, and then moved out to L.A., where a large group of my friends lived who grew up with me in Youth with a Mission, and they were working in the entertainment industry. And so worked out there and did that, worked in worked with Christian musicians and got to do the Dove Awards and just some rewarding things
Well,
in that field.
It feels like to me that you're now opening the finest chapter of your life, which is really pouring into people from the stage. And so you've had a chance to speak to college audiences, some very large audiences. What's your message?
So I think the heart of my message, whenever I try to branch out and when I come back to the heart of what it is, to me, it all stems from identity. And as you and I were speaking earlier, I think that identity has taken on a very different connotation in this generation maybe. But when I say it, I mean who God created you to be in your inner parts, in your deepest soul, spirit, from before time began, the purpose and the call that he has on your life, and how that plays out is what I mean when I speak to identity.
We're going to pull up Carla's Instagram page because I have to say her family looks like a Hallmark card. It looks like when you buy a picture frame at the store, it looks like the family that you see in the picture frame. Tell us about your beautiful family.
Oh, well, I have a wonderful husband, Taylor, and then we've got identical twin boys, Jack and Luke, and then my youngest is Tay. Jack and Luke are at Auburn. They're sophomores at Auburn University in Alabama, and my youngest is a sophomore here in Dallas at Legacy Christian Academy.
And what's it like being a boy mom?
That has been an adventure. I was saying to you earlier that I grew up with all sisters, so having all boys and all boys who really are all boy, gonna push the limit on all the boy things. So it's been an adventure. I have definitely grown and been stretched, and also the joy of that is knowing that from before I had him, God knew I'd be a boy mom, and what that was supposed to bring out in me, and part of my message to the world in that journey.
What are some of the things you hope your boys are modeling from you?
Yeah, I hope most of all, my deepest wish is that my boys know who they are because they know whose they are. Because if your starting point is knowing that you're first belong to your Creator and that He is the only one that really defines you, then when you hear the lie, you can immediately identify it as a lie. And I meet so many capable, talented, great kids who were loved well growing up, but the world spoke so many lies that were never corrected at that point, that then you spend your 20s trying to undo the lies that have now set a pattern. So if it's a regular daily, hey, I know that's not true, then I don't have all of the baggage to unpack when I'm 27, which, let's be honest, it affects the people you marry, it affects the choices that you make. So my greatest delight is seeing my children walk in their true identity and knowing who God's called them to be.
You told me a story right before the show about somebody who came up to you with a compliment that she had heard you speak.
Yes, that was actually really an amazing. I was sitting in church here in Dallas, and we've only lived here for 6 years, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and it was a large church, and I turned around and I didn't recognize her, and she said, "You probably don't remember me. I heard you speak, and I just want you to know that it changed my life." And I went home and confronted some situations in my past and sat with my family, and we had a session of just healing and recognizing that my abuse from childhood didn't have to define who I was going to be in the future. And those are the moments that you think, wow, this is all the gift to me, you know?
Yes. Okay, we have a minute left, Carla, so look into that camera on the left and talk to the person who might be struggling right now and might not really know their own identity.
Yeah. I think that John Piper probably said it best. He said, God is most glorified when we are most satisfied in Him, which means that you don't have to ever give up your greatest satisfaction for His greatest glory. There's this incredible misunderstanding that we have in the world that serving God is going to be this chore and it's going to be miserable. And the reality is He knows you better than you know yourself. He knows every longing and every need, and He created you with value and purpose. And when you know that value and purpose, and better yet, you know that there isn't anyone that can do it like you. My twins are identical. They're as identical as you can be. They're mirror twins, and yet they don't have the same fingerprint. And of all the billions of people that have walked on this planet, there's only one you. It says in the New Testament, no one will follow the sound of an uncertain trumpet. And so there's this sense that once I know what my sound is, the sound that's meant to come from my life, there can be 25 people that get up here and speak motivationally and speak to identity. And yet, I still do it through my filter that God created in me. And He is glorified when I'm doing what He created me to do with my own voice. So I think it's that, we've all heard the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. Everyone can do what you're doing, but no one can do it the way you do it. And I think when you start recognizing that there's a specific call of God on your life and you live out of the place that you're loved and that you're known, then there's a world out there waiting to be changed.
Wow, you're quite the speaker, and I think you have a little pastor's heart in you too. Well, yes. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to end with her Instagram page so you can get in touch with her for all your speaking needs. The great Carla Hanes, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.